Hello, welcome to the sports commentary edition of our Howler tutorial for the day. I just got a different camera recording set up because I'm on my laptop instead of my desktop, and so okay, we're gonna just try and do things. We're talking about the layers today. The layers are over here on the right hand side, and there's the layers work a little bit different than the way that they do in Photoshop, like we've talked about before. So right now there's only one layer, and you can change the options and whatnot on it so that you can see some different possibilities. You can make them thumbnails really tiny, or you can make them small, large, jumbo. Mine's set to jumbo because it's so small on my screen, so there's the tiny ones to let you do that. So there's the ones. I'm leaving it big so that everyone can see it hopefully a little bit easier. You can also change the different modes on the layer, which will give you different effects once you have more than one layer on it. So the blue screen, the green screen, the magic pink, and the drop magenta help it to act just like a movie, and it'll give you as close to opaque layers as Howler gets. Otherwise it's transparent layers. Alright, whatever you have the secondary color set to is what the new layer will be created as. So there's the plus to add one, minus to subtract one, and then there's the collapse to what you see is what you get. So we've added another layer here. As you notice, it's white because that's what the secondary is set to. So, and of course, since it's white, everything can see through. So we'll show you some examples here. Here's a nice rainbow plasma, and as you can see, you can see all the lettering down below it. And one of the reasons for that is because black is as dark as it gets, so that occludes everything. As you see, if we make the other piece of invisible, that the lettering was not on the rainbow stuff. So because of that being all the way black, that occludes everything. The parts that are all white, that allows everything on the other layers to show through. So you can use that to, good effect as you're working with it for things like cards or whatnot, and we'll do a card project later on. All right, not sure what else I'm saying right here. Oh, we're showing how things on one layer, effects on one layer don't really affect the other layers. So whatever effect you apply to one layer, your other layer is safe from that. So you can apply various different layers to different things. And if you were to change the various default levels, you can see how that affects things in different ways depending on which one of the layer effects that you've put in. So some neat tricks with it, and quick and easy. Tracing paper is a really neat mode if you're doing animation in the old-fashioned cell way. You can see what's underneath there and copy it. It's also really great if you're transferring pictures, a hand-drawn picture. You could set it up in there, put it on tracing, and you'd be able to then trace it so that you have a nice clean lines for then doing your digital art on. You can also use it if you're doing textures, 3D textures. You put your template down on the bottom, you have your tracing paper, and then you're able to go in and trace along that and whatnot, make selections. Anyway, there's a lot of really neat effects that you can have there for by choosing the different layered effects. And it would also depend on which layer I had uppermost as to how the effects would be applied. It would be different if I had the Howler 10 is Awesome layer on top and the rainbow layer down beneath. Different effects and whatnot. I didn't record that, so it won't show up, but I promise you that it works that way. Alright, not exactly sure what I'm talking about right there. So probably something to do with the writing and the other layer, but I don't remember. Alright, now here we're talking about ways that you can make selections by selecting on my base layer there where I have the writing. It automatically outlines. I can use the shift key to then select inside to get all the inside areas. And then once I've inverted that selection, I now have a mask that has those the Howler 10 on it. That could be really useful if later on, again, with if you're doing textures and templates and things, that you can outline various portions of it. You save it in the using the snapshot, the masking snapshot up there at the top. You could do, like, say if you're doing a horse, you could do the mane as one, the tail is one, the body is one, the eye is one, a saddle is one, the hooves is one, and then you would have all of those saved. You can save a nearly infinite number of the alpha snapshots and whatnot. And then as you worked on your various layers and were adding pieces and parts in, you could reapply that mask, because whatever mask you have on one transfers up to the other. Whichever one you have selected, it will transfer to whatever layer that you're working on. So if I was to only select Howler 10, on this particular one, and then do something with it, then it would do Howler 10. It wouldn't select the rainbow. It wouldn't select the awesome. So whichever one, whatever I had replaced it with. So again, very useful for that. You can also apply the effects through there. There's a drop shadow applied to the layer, and because that was selected and whatnot, it allowed that to emboss on, or to drop shadow on whichever layer that I have selected. So that if I was to then get rid of that, it would still leave that on there. I think there I'm talking about how you can have lots of various alphas to reuse for your different parts of the project and whatnot. It also allows you to max in something, and then you can work around it and outside of it on various layers. So again, very useful for textures. It's useful for digital paintings, cards. Like I said before, we'll do a project with cards. Okay. And now I'm still talking about something, and since I don't remember what it is, I think I've covered most of what I was saying. There's showing the drop shadow. I was worried that it would be too light to be seen on the recording. And as you see, when you turn off the bottom layer, the drop shadow is there because it was drop shadowed by the alpha, by the mask. I could then take that, and on that rainbow layer I could put other effects on it and whatnot if I wanted to, by having that masked out. So, and you can do a lot of other things there, your glow, your embossing, things like that, using the selection. We talked about that in a previous video on the selections. And coming up now, I should be talking about doing a glow. So in just a moment, I will probably erase that Howler 10 to white, which will then let me do a glow effect when all is said and done. Oh, I'm going to merge layers first. Okay, we merge layers, so what we see is what we get. The alpha selection is still there because it hasn't been turned off, and now it's been turned off. And there's only one layer now. So, and if we replace it, there it is. Remember, the parts that are black are invisible, and the parts that are white is what you're actually selecting. So now we can go into the image there, and we can clear the selected to white. You can also clear it to other colors if you want. So now we have that, Howler 10 is awesome, has been cleared. And we're selecting that, a new color, and going down to the effects, doing a glow. So you can use that there, and now we have a lovely glow to our writing. A lot of neat text effects and whatnot with that. Very, very useful for things like that. Alrighty, let's see. Where is my little pointer to find out what I'm talking about now? Not sure I see it. Very soon though, I think I will be talking about how to use the swap buffer and how that works. So there's our picture. And yes, indeed, I'm talking about the swap buffer. The swap buffer is over there to the side, that little strip of white that you're seeing there. And you can turn off that swap and main relationship, thus you don't see the little white piece on there at all. I like to keep it on personally so I can kind of see what's hanging out back there. As Dan Ritchie says, the swap buffer is kind of like turning the paper over, so you're getting the back side of the paper. And that allows you to, then scratch, scribble in things, changes, make a brush. So the S up there at the top switches you back and forth from your swap to your main. So now I've got my little blank piece of paper here that I can do other things on. I could, stamp a brush down, select a part of it, things like that, make some notes to myself, things of that nature. And so, for example, selecting a brush, and I can, take that, make it a little bit more opaque there, and then stamp it down, and there I've got that. And now say I just want to select the little unicorn, I can select that out, make it into a new brush, and I've got it as a brush. When I flip back, you don't see the other part at all. So I can then, stamp it down and, have it in place. And the other one, if I was to switch back, is still there. So that allows you to, change effects, add different things, add brushes and whatnot, and you've got a place to work out some of those sorts of things. Now, as you can see, it's still there. You can also access those things from the image menu. Okay. Instead, we're going to make another plasma here. And because I have my swap off on the other side, it wasn't affected by this plasma at all. So I still have my Howler 10 is awesome over in the swap buffer. So it's been safe. It's a good way if you want to, save a little snapshot of what you're working on without doing a full image save. So there you see, the other stuff is still there. And there's the plasma that we made. Now the swap buffer can act like a layer as well. As you notice, capital J copies whatever the image is to the swap, and the small j allows you to jump back and forth if you don't want to use the S. Does the same thing. And that copying a quick piece over allows you to make some changes on it, and then if you don't like it, you can just jump back over to the other thing to use it in multiple times or multiple ways. So, and like I said, that can be accessed either way, from the menu or from the S there. Now, combining with swap, those where you can get some really neat effects. Because that's over in the swap menu as opposed to the layer menu, we can apply these different things: displacing, embossing, combining, and whatnot. The combine with swap tends to work nearly the same as layers. And if you click the little icon up there where those three icons are on the top, that actually mixes 50-50% with the two buffers and whatnot, so you can get an idea of what that could look like. So that's the what that does. If you turn that off, you only get your buffer that's showing. So if I've got something over in that other side, I can then do some displacements. So I've got the plasma, black and white plasma, over on the other side, and so now I'm adjusting the displacement, and you get really neat effects. You could see how that could be used in a map. It's a little bit too crazy for an RPG map at the moment, but you could, depending on what you put in your swap buffer and whatnot, make really neat maps. You can make really cool textures, which then you could select and make seamless. Some of these are a little bit too crazy to make seamless, but yeah, you could work on it. And so that's one of the things that you can use with that displacement. If I put wording over there, then it would displace kind of around the wording, different things like that. So some really neat effects. Another one here is the cloaking displacement. You can kind of see what it's doing. Again, really neat effects and whatnot. If you wanted to make a stationary, you could do something like this, lighten it way up, and then you have some cool stationery. Compositing with the green screen, the blue screen, that's what they use when they're doing movies and TV and things of that nature. You would have the secondary as either the blue or the green, and so your action hero would be there on the front. You can also use it with animation. So that's the how those work to then allow you to blue screen it or green screen it. So for those of you doing animations, that's a handy thing, and that's available there. Then we can combine with swap. As I said, these work very similar to if you had layers. They would work in much the same way. So there we did the lighting and things on it, and it's lighting it based on what was in the swap buffer. If I add another layer back in again, as you notice, the swap moves up to the next one up, so it'll affect whatever layer that I currently have selected. I can then swap it over, and now it's over the top. That's the same as what we had the 50-50 view up above, and I can apply the effects and things here to see some of the different effects when you combine the swap and the main, or same thing, combining two layers there. So different things, as you see, there's many of the same things there: luminescence and multiplication, subtraction, things of that nature. All right. And then over with it's double layered, you would just go back in and you could switch what your layer default is at that time. Okay, if we put the swap back over and then delete the layer, the swap moves back down to the layer that's below it, so it's still there. And again, you can do the same thing that we were doing over on the other side when we were doing it with the layers. It's just another alternate way to go about doing it. All right, let's see. What am I doing now? I guess still showing how that they're similar. I think there were some other things that I said in there, but that's probably most of the important ones. I'm showing how if I have the rainbow plasma here, and then I'm combining with the swap with my words over there in the swap, how that can work too. Gives you a little bit different effect as to what you have on the top. and then when you're done, you flatten the whole image. If you've got layers, when you do it this way, so it's done in the swap, it is what it is unless you undo it. So once that combination is made, you have to actually undo it, as opposed to when you're doing the layers, where you would just switch your layer type back to default or whatnot in order to undo what had been done. Okay, I'm coming to the end here, and next time we will, try and do better. I hope you enjoyed this time. All right, thanks.